imagine you're walking through a picturesque forest. And as you come through a grove of trees, you come upon a pond, beautiful pond. The water is as still as can be, so still it looks like glass. And you pick up a rock and you throw it as hard as you can, and it hits right in the middle of the pond. Kerplunk. The sound of the rock hitting the water, as an analogy we'll say, will be the impact of a DUI collision. And what forms around that impact zone is a circle, a ripple, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And another one forms. The ripple effects of a DUI crash are far-reaching and long-lasting, because the choices you make don't just affect you. Good morning. My name is Officer Reuben Jones with the California Highway Patrol. I've come here to bring to you a message, but it's a big message, a great message. And so I thought to myself, I need help, because this is a very important message. So I reached out to some very amazing partners that we have on the Highway Patrol. Manteca Police Department, Manteca Fire Department, Manteca Ambulance, P.L. Fry & Sons Mortuary, California Department of Rehabilitation, to come together to bring you a message about choices and how these choices don't just affect you. They affect everyone around you like a ripple effect. But I'm also here to bring you a message of hope. I hope that you will listen to this message. We hope that you will accept this message. We hope that you will put this message into action, because it is guaranteed that a percentage of you will be faced with that choice. Do I get behind the wheel? Do I get in that car? And I hope that your memory brings you back to this day and you make the right choice. I got a chance to spend all night with these amazing young men and women here. And if this is what is walking around your hallways, I am ever hopeful that you guys will accept this message and put it into action. At this point, we'll have a special poem read by Pastor Ryan Youngblood.
He says, I went to a party, Mom. I remember what you said. You told me not to drink. And Mom, so I drank soda instead. So I felt proud inside, Mom. The way You said I would. I didn't drink and drive, Mom. Even though the others said I should. I know I did the right thing. And Mom, I know you're always right. Now the party is finally ending, Mom, as everyone is driving out of sight. As I got into my car, I knew I had to go home in one piece because of the way you raised me. So responsible and sweet. I started to drive away. Mom, as I pulled out into the road, the other car didn't even see me. Mom, he hit me like a load. As I lay there in the pavement, I hear the policeman say, the other guy is drunk. Mom, and now I'm the one who will pay. I'm laying here dying, Mom. I wish you'd get here soon. How could this happen to me, Mom? My life just burst into a balloon, like a balloon. There's blood all around me, Mom. And most of it all is mine. I hear the medic say, Mom, I'll die in a soon time. I just want to tell you, Mom, I swear I didn't drink. It was the others, Mom. The others didn't think. He was probably at the same party as I. The only difference is he drank and I will die. Why do people drink, Mom? It can ruin your whole life. I'm feeling sharp pains now, Mom. Pain is just like a knife. The guy who hit me is walking, Mom. And I don't think it's fair. I'm lying here dying, and all he can do is stare. Tell my brother not to cry, Mom. Tell Dad to be brave. And when I go to heaven, Mom, put good boy on my grave. Someone should have told him, Mom, not to drink and drive. If they only had told him, Mom, I would still be alive. My breath is going and getting shorter. Mom, it's becoming very scary. Please don't cry for me, Mom. When I need you, you are always there. I had one last question, Mom. Before I say goodbye, I didn't drink and drive. So why am I the one to die?
Manteca High School, East Union High School, Sierra High School, Cala High School, B-Tech, and Innovations. This is your Every 15 Minutes.
How was baseball today?
It was good. We just hit all day.
Are you ready for your game tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm starting on the mound.
If Collins pitches well, it'll be easy for you.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I should be there. I might go get like Dutch or something with my friends, but
Pick me up, Dutch, please.
what would you like?
Whatever
you
you
need
want.
to go.
Surprise me.
You need to go, you're leaving soon.
So are you excited to go to Alabama?
Yes, I can't wait, and especially since me and you are gonna go visit. Too bad Mom and Collins aren't going, but I guess they have other times to go, right?
And so then we'll be going to Babinbound when you have orientation, but for your move-in is when he's in school.
Yeah, but I'm excited. I think it's gonna be like a really fun experience for me. I'm gonna do all my favorite things there.
But you're gonna be there by you're gonna be 2,300 miles away. Just make sure you make good decisions. All right, well, it's getting late, so I'm gonna go up for the night. You have a good game tomorrow. Love you.
Good night. I
All
love
right,
you.
love you, Leela. See you later.
Good night.
Stay awake every night just to catch one more glimpse of your skin. When I look at the way you sleep, I know
You here for the big game tonight?
Yeah, dude, senior night.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Buffaloes, bro. We got Manteca.
Gotta be Manteca.
Alright, you got Manteca.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, we have to Jack's after?
Oh, the big party?
Yeah, dude.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. I heard he's bringing you a beer, though.
Oh, we gotta go by the store, get a 12-pack.
Corona. Feeling course?
Definitely, of course.
Alright, for sure.
there are times I believe I can change, be the man just for you. Like a flash of the future, I see our sons and daughters too. No tomorrow, spin your sorrow, let the games begin. Reach out of your bed, come out ahead, don't dwell within. No tomorrow, spin your sorrow, let the games begin. Reach out of your bed, come out ahead, don't dwell
Put them like right here too.
Really?
Every time I try to make stuff though, I feel like I mess it up so bad.
And it looks so cheap. I'm like, okay.
yeah, and like one leg is longer than the other, and then you're like,
Yeah.
no. And then I'll just wear them like as a cover up.
Or like I'll cut my shirt and then like it's uneven, so I keep cutting and then it keeps getting higher and I'm like, where did my shirt go? Like,
Oh, let's go play ping pong.
I'm not really good at ping pong.
I think it's fine. We can like teach you and stuff. It'll be
Okay,
fine.
don't judge me, please.
a white vodka with white chocolate.
Complains about everything.
I
swear.
don't like my drinks. I get them extra sweet.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to try the rebel? Like you don't want to taste the rebel?
It gets like a bad aftertaste.
But whatever.
Guys, Mitch's story. They're all at the Palms. We should go.
Yes. And then we can like meet up with him if they're
Yes,
like still
that
out
sounds
there.
so fun.
All right, you guys ready? Let's
Yeah.
go. Why is she calling you?
I don't know. Put it on speaker. Hello?
Can you come please pick me up? Please.
Abby, who's supposed to drive you?
No, Mitch is way too drunk. Like too drunk. Please come pick me up.
Stop drinking, and when you see us, come.
So drunk. I'm so drunk right now. I just need a ride.
Okay, we'll come back and get you. You're just gonna have to squeeze in the car. We're coming right now.
Okay. Tell her I'm like really close and just stay away from Mitch.
911, what is the emergency?
You need to come. You need to come. Something happened with my friend. Okay. We crashed. And we were meeting our friend at the mall.
Okay, take your breath for me, okay? So you had a car accident? Where is this at?
We're at the police. We lied. He thought
You're at the where?
We're at the Palm Avenue.
Okay, you're at Palm Avenue? Okay, and where exactly on the Palm are you?
Alright, I'm gonna declare her dead. Hi, your mom and dad? I'm Dr. Kiefer. Unfortunately, your daughter was involved in a driving accident. We did everything we could. We did a lot of things to help her, and she didn't make it. Unfortunately, she died.
Walk right over to the room right there. Then keep your body still, turn your head.
What happens if it doesn't work out all good?
Well, there'd be consequences.
Man, I only had one beer.
Your blood alcohol level is more than one beer in it. We're going to the first door on your left here. Right there.
Man, I'm scared. Let me out. I didn't do anything. It was just one beer. It's an accident. Please.
And I do regret to inform you that Emma has passed away.
Passed away?
Yes. I can't reveal too much information. I do regret to inform you that Luke has passed away. And then your parents are not home on vacation?
Yeah.
Okay, I've been having a hard time trying to get a hold of them. I wanted to let you know, since I couldn't get a hold of your parents, that your sister Kayla has passed away. She had a necklace that she was wearing. I wanted to give that to you. Just making sure that you are the parents of Lopreet, right?
Yes.
Okay. I do regret to inform you that she was involved in a vehicle accident and she has passed. Regarding the accident,
Every 15 minutes, somebody either dies or is seriously injured in an alcohol or drug-related incident. On April 28, 2022, Amaya Gutton was on her way home from her wrestling match. She was almost home. As she turned the corner, another car came speeding down the road and hit her. She was pronounced dead on the scene. The car who hit her was under the influence of alcohol.
Was Natalie Rosales in this class? And Natalie Rosales was born on January 21st, 2004 in Tracy, California.
A sad heart that I announced to you that one of your classmates passed away, Fabian Mendoza Jr. Running and walking his dog. Service will be held at Liberty Baptist Church.
Good day, Counselor. We're in the matter of People v. Mitch Lill. Mr. Cozina, on behalf of the people, do you have a sentencing recommendation for the court?
Mr. Schluer, would you kind enough to come forward?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Leila Elizabeth Schluer. She was born 10/18/2004 to me and my wife, Thera. She was our firstborn. She's an emergency C-section and almost didn't make it. Through life, she's always been our little Leila. Growing up, she's played competitive soccer, loves her American dolls, and was always a great student and basically just loved life. And she loved her job at Dutch Bros. She had her whole life ahead of her. She was accepted to the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa on an academic scholarship and was supposed to start there in the fall. She wanted to be a civil engineer. She wanted to build bridges. She wanted to build roads and buildings. She wanted to help society. We will never get to watch her graduate from Sierra or from Bama. I'll never get to walk my daughter down the aisle or have our father-daughter dance. We'll never see her become a mother, and we will never get to spend time with our potential grandchildren. And why is this? It is because Mitch Lill decided to drink and drive. It is because Mitch Lill decided to make a conscious decision that night. It's because Mitch Lill is to blame for my daughter's death and for the 4 other high school students. And I know all the remorse in the world, though, couldn't bring back my little Leila. I'm asking you today to please give him the maximum penalty possible, and that would be what justice is.
Justice for my little Leela and the other 4. Thank you.
By the actions of an individual who knew better, who had been told time and again, you don't drink and drive. And didn't want to take the personal responsibility that we all have for our actions. It's almost impossible to imagine how deep this tragedy goes and how it's going to affect this community and the families, not only now, but forever.
You know, I know that Mr. Schlur was here in tremendous sadness by him and all the other victims. I don't take any of that away. But I have an 18-year-old young man here, San Diego State in the fall. He wanted to be a kinesiologist. He was in the leadership program. He was the student body president. He was on the football team, the baseball team, the basketball team. He's the kid that we all look up to. How do you take someone like this who's done everything right, everything we ask our young people to do? Study hard, play hard, be a good child to your parents, a good sibling, be a role model. We look up to you. Certainly someone like this that you look up to, you can say, we forgive you. 15 years to life is what I ask, Your Honor. At 33, he can come home and do something that says, I'm sorry and I'm here to make amends. That's how you repair this community. Thank you.
It is true the defendant is young and has no record and has done well in school. The same could have been said as to the 5 victims in this case. The difference between the 2 is that the defendant was the one who had a choice that resulted in this horrific tragedy. The 5 victims had no choice. In this case, the jury found you guilty of all 5 counts of second-degree murder. The court now sentenced the defendant to 5 terms of 15 years to life to be served consecutively for a total of 75 years to life in state prison. The defendant is remanded to the custody to await transportation to the prison. This court is adjourned.
Every 15 minutes, someone in the United States is seriously injured or killed in an alcohol-related incident. Each one of us in this room have an opportunity to have a direct hand in changing that number. Statistics say that virtually everyone in this room will be impacted by DUI in one way or another. It'll be up to you to make that choice. And DUI affects everyone differently. Everyone has a different experience with DUI. Whether it's you're the driver and you're being placed in custody and you lose years upon years of your life, or you lose a loved one, or maybe it's you that's gone. And we have someone here, a special guest, to talk to you about his experiences with DUI and how it has affected him. So please help me welcome Tony Agbayani.
Good morning. I've been doing this for 13 years, and I do it for a lot of schools, but this particular one means the most to me. My wife and I were raised in this town. We raised our 9 children in this town. Our children graduated from East Union, Manteca, Sierra, and Cala. Figure there's 4 high schools at that time. Let's spread them out. I'm sorry, B-Tech. There was no B-Tech at that time. There was no tech at that time when my kids were growing up. But I want to talk to you very briefly about what I call the 1.8 second decision. So if you'll just bear with me for a moment, I'm going to count to 3, and then with some enthusiasm, I want you to say the word yes. All right? So 1, 2, 3. Yes. Okay, that's pretty good. All right. That's a 1.8 second decision. Why is that a 1.8 second decision? Not exactly because it takes precisely 1.8 seconds to do it, but because you made that decision without any thought. You didn't stop and say, why is he asking me to say yes? What am I saying yes to? What's going to happen if I say yes? You just said yes. No thought behind it. Now, most of the time, we make these types of decisions every day, and they don't have any real consequences, but sometimes they have tragic consequences. I'll use an example, the first one. I had a project due the next day, very important. The deadline was the next day. I came home, should have started on it right away, but one of my kids called me and said, hey, Dad, I watched this new series called Stranger Things. You have got to see it. So I thought, okay, I'll watch 1 episode. So next thing I know, it's 12:30 in the morning. I've like binge watched a whole bunch of these episodes, and then suddenly dawned on me, I got this project due the next day. So I finished the project at 5:15 in the morning, then had to be up at 6:45, 7 o'clock to go to work. So I was tired all day. But I got over it, came home, and went to bed early that night. So it wasn't any real consequence. What I'm here to talk to you about is where you make that 1.8 second decision and it leads to tragic consequences. And I want to tell you about 2 young men that I knew several years ago, Robert and John. And so the first person that I met was John. John came to my office and he was just graduated from high school. In fact, both he and Robert graduated from the same high school. They were both athletes. They were both going to college on academic and one of them going on an athletic scholarship. And John wanted to do a summer internship where I work. So he came to see me, and he's dressed in a nice tie and a shirt, and sat down and talked to me about his goals, his dreams, and what he wanted to do. And I liked him. So I told him, yeah, you can be an intern here. You can start tomorrow. And that was in the morning. Now in the afternoon, at exactly 1:30, I got to meet Robert. And, well, before I met Robert, I had to put on my uniform. So he was in my courtroom, and Robert was charged with 2 counts of driving under the influence causing death, 2nd-degree murder. He wasn't dressed in a nice shirt and a tie. He was dressed exactly like this person over here. Over the course of the summer, I got to know something about both of them. I got to know things about John from talking to him. I got to know things about Robert from reading probation reports and listening to his attorneys talk and listening to the prosecutors talk. And as it turned out, on graduation night, they both had choices to make, and they made 2 different choices. When asked if he was going to go to the party that they were holding in the field that night, John said, no, we already made some plans. We're going to go to the theaters, the AMC, and we're going to go over to Red Robin and eat. And people are looking at him like, boring, you could do that anytime. He says, I know, but that's what we're going to do. When they asked Robert if he's going, he said, are you kidding me? Of course I'm going. So later that night, in exactly 1.8 seconds, John took his first drink of a Coke at Red Robin. And in 1.8 seconds, Robert took his first drink of many in the orchard. Later that night, John got into his car, 1.8 seconds, put his key in, turned it, drove home. Got into bed, went to sleep, and that was the end of the night. Much later that night, Robert got in his car, put his keys in, 1.8 seconds, turned the key, drove off, and about 2 miles down the road, ran an intersection, crashed into a car, killed 2 people. He did not go home that night. Later that summer, I said goodbye to John, and he went home, packed his car, put his keys in his car in 1.8 seconds, turned his car on. With his parents waving goodbye, he drove off to UC Berkeley to start his rest of his life. Later that year, I had to sentence Robert to 2 consecutive terms of 30 years to life. And that was hard because he had so much promise in front of him. The bailiff cuffed his hands. His parents said, "Can we hug him goodbye?" He said, "No, that's against policy, sorry." So they waved goodbye to him. He went through the door, and later that day, he was transported to the State Prison Reception Center. And after he was processed, the guard put his key into a 6x9 cell and in 1.8 seconds turned it and introduced him to his home for the next 25 or so years before he'd be eligible for parole. I do not want to see any of you in my courtroom. One of the things I love about my job is that I get to make decisions. I get to decide after listening to the facts what sentence is appropriate for this person. Just like the attorney was arguing there, you take into account everything. But in these types of cases, the reason I don't like them is because I do not get a choice. If the jury convicts you, if you plead guilty, I've only got one choice: 15 years to life. And if there's more than one count, I do get a little bit of a choice. I can decide whether to run them all together, but it's still going to be a minimum of 15 years to life. And on 15 years to life, you're usually eligible for parole in about 18 to 21 years. Think about it. You're 18 years old, and maybe in 18 years, when you're 36, you might get out. You get to make that choice. This program works. It has proven results. You know, the one thing I want you to really understand, we know right now that there's nobody in these coffins. There is nobody. This is symbolic. But somewhere in the United States right now, there's a real funeral going on because of somebody who made a bad choice, and the coffin is not empty. Somebody's child, somebody's father, somebody's relative, their loved one is in that coffin. In fact, while we are in this session today, statistically speaking, 4 people are going to be killed because of somebody's bad choice. I want you to think about this. Those of you who are 18 or close to 18, you've been alive for 567 million seconds. You are expected to live 1.8 billion more seconds, barring any accidents or a disease or anything. So a total of 1.6 billion seconds. You've still got 1.6 billion seconds left. So the question is, are you going to let 1.8 second bad decision dictate where you spend the next 1.6 billion seconds of your life? Does that make any sense at all to you? Now, I know this program works. Because as I said, I live in this area, and all year long, young people come up to me and say, I know you, you were the judge at every 15 minutes. And that's the greatest thing in the world to me, not because I want to be recognized for it, but because when they come up to me, you know what that tells me? They're still alive. I want to end with this. One time I made a really dumb choice, and my courthouse in Stockton at that time was 5 blocks away from the main courthouse, and I had to go do some filming for every 15 minutes at the main courthouse. So I decided it wasn't going to take too long, so I walked. Well, it took 3 hours, and it got dark. And I had to walk from the main courthouse 5 blocks back to my courthouse in the dark, and it was foggy. If anybody knows anything about downtown Stockton, it's not the place to take a stroll in the dark, in the fog. And as I was walking on the empty streets, because nobody hangs out there, a guy came around the corner with a hoodie on, coming toward me. So I was just a little tense, thinking about what's going on, hoping we're just going to pass each other. And then he said something I don't want to hear. He said, "Judge." Oh, that's the worst thing he could say. That means he knew who I was. And how did he know me? So I said, "How you doing?" And he said, "You don't remember me, do you?" That's the second worst thing somebody can say to you on the street when you're a judge. And I looked at him, he took the hoodie off, and I didn't recognize him. And I said, "No, I really don't." He said, "Franklin High School." I said, "Okay." He goes, 3 years ago, you were the every 15 minutes judge." And I said, "Yeah, I do remember you because I've only done Franklin High School once." I said, you were the dead guy." And he said, "Yeah." And he says, "Anyway, have a good night." And he started to put the hood on to leave. And I said, "Wait a minute." I said, "How'd you like the program?" And he stopped and he turned around, and I'll never forget that he looked at me like it was the dumbest question anybody's ever asked him in his life. And he looked at me and he said, "Well, I'm still alive, aren't I?" And then he walked off. And it told me that the program works. He got it. He was basically saying to me, I probably would have made that bad choice, but the program got to me. So it works. We're not just talking to you. We're volunteers here. We do this because we care about you. And we don't want to see any of you either be a victim and be in one of these coffins, and I certainly don't want to see you in my courtroom for sentencing. Now, I don't get to stay for the rest of the program because there are people who don't listen, who have made bad choices, and I've got some folks waiting in my courtroom right now dressed in that same suit, but it's not for play. They are waiting for me to come back and waiting to find out what is going to happen to them. And that's not easy for me when it's a young person. It's not easy at all. So please don't do that to me. Don't do it to your parents. Don't do it to your brothers and sisters. Don't do it to your family. Class of 2022, now, when you make your choice, don't let it be a 1.8 second decision. Think about what you learned here today and make an informed decision. Stay alive, and I hope to see you on the street for many years to come. Thank you.
.8 seconds. What will you do? What will you decide? We know what Mitch chose. Mitch made a choice that so many have made. With all of the education and all of the efforts made, Mitch made a 1.8 second decision and changed, devastated 5 families. No, wait, 6 families, because Mitch's family's gonna have to take out a second mortgage now to pay for the attorney fees. And he's going away for 75 years, which means they lose their loved one as well. 1.8-second decision. What will you do? Now we've got someone else here, another special guest, to talk to you, give you some insight. How did DUI affect her life? Well, she's going to tell you. Lauren Freeman, please welcome her.
Today I'm here to tell you a story about drunk driving that has deeply affected me. This story is about a close friend of mine. She's from San Diego, born and raised. She comes from a big family, really supportive and close. She has always lived at home with her parents and brother. If it was a choice between hanging out with friends or going to a family barbecue, family comes first. In high school, she got straight A's, was president of choir club, and played soccer. All in all, my friend is a total square. Some call her sheltered, and she wouldn't deny it. When she turned 18, things started really changing for my friend. She was working her first job, making new, more experienced friends. They would invite her to after-work parties, and she would go. At first, hanging out with people outside of her family that were drinking and smoking weed was very foreign to her. At first, she denied the drink, denied the joint. At first, she couldn't wait to go back home to her family where she was really comfortable. But she wanted to be liked by these new friends and coworkers. She wanted to prove to herself and to them that she could live life a little wilder than she ever had. So she kept hanging out with her new friends. Her first serious boyfriend was one of her coworkers who really showed her the wilder side. Smoking weed and drinking was their bonding. It became all they did. She knew driving around town, spending her money on beers and weed, and lying to her parents about where she was never her ideal date night. But it meant having his interest, so she continued on. He used her for money, sex, transportation, and she knew she wasn't the only girl in his life. But being the person he could always count on kept her around. If it meant he was happy, she went with it, even if she really wasn't. When she started dating someone new, she thought this next relationship would be better than the first. It wasn't. Drinking, smoking, experimenting with other drugs got heavier and heavier. Deep down, she knew it was wrong, but that was the foundation of their relationship. Some nights were bad when they drank together. He would say awful things and they would argue, but she was convinced she loved him, so she stayed. It wasn't until she was beaten badly one night that she finally left. And even then, she felt bad for leaving him for good. She just wanted to make him happy, but never could. By 21, my friend was living by her own rules. Ditching a college class to get stoned and drink became a normal thing. Getting drunk with friends at a bar and driving home became a routine. To her, sex, drugs, and alcohol were the best way to impress people and make them like you. She was the girl people wanted to hang out with, she fit in, and she definitely proved that she could live the party life. At 22, she started a new job. She was a hostess at a restaurant in a big San Diego casino. All of her new coworkers were hired together, so they became close really fast. She loved this new job and her new coworkers. She was starting to feel like maybe her life could get back on track to what it used to be. Things were really starting to get a little brighter for my friend. February 25th, 2018 was a Sunday shift at her new job. It was technically her Friday, so she made plans earlier on that morning to meet up with another coworker of hers later that night. At the end of her shift, she changed out of her work uniform and into her normal clothes to meet her new coworker for some drinks. She had just recently got paid, so drinks were on her that night. They went to a couple different bars in the few hours they were together. They each had about 4 drinks and at least 3 or 4 shots in between. Standing outside of the bar, she knew she was too drunk to drive home, and she told her new friend. This friend told her to figure it out. Get us home. My friend weighed all the options in her mind. She thought an Uber would be too expensive to get them all the way home. It was way too late to call her parents, and she's driven out of here like this before. She didn't want to let this new friend down. She had to be the one with the answers. Make others happy, even if she wasn't. She could make it home. My friend didn't get them home. She woke up in a hospital so confused. Her parents were by her side, and she had so many questions. How did I get here? What happened? She remembered nothing of her night with a new friend, and certainly didn't remember doing anything that would cause her so much pain all over her body. It was when she was stable enough in the hospital that her parents had to tell her that the police had been there and something really bad had happened. There was a really bad crash. Head-on collision on the freeway. She was hurt really bad, a skull fracture, broken collarbone, broken ribs, intestinal surgery. Her small intestine had separated from her colon from the seatbelt, and metal plates were put into her ankle to keep it all together. None of this mattered to her when she heard that her friend was hurt just as bad. None of this mattered when she heard that the man in the other car that she hit was killed instantly on impact. How could she care about her own recovery when she killed someone because of her pride? Her need to prove something to a new friend killed an innocent man. She wished it was her who died that night. She was ultimately charged with second-degree murder, gross vehicular manslaughter, driving under the influence causing great bodily injury, and driving under the influence with an alcohol content over 0.08. Hers that night was 0.28. She was ultimately sentenced to 11 years, 8 months for vehicular manslaughter and great bodily injury. I know this story so well because my friend in this story is actually me. My name is Lauren Freeman. I'm an inmate at the Central California Women's Facility in Chowchilla, number WG4185. I was sentenced to prison at 23 years old, and I'm now almost 27. I'm currently an inmate firefighter, trying to find my purpose in this world and to be a part of something bigger than I ever imagined. I live now for my victims, Justin and Renee. I struggle every day with knowing how preventable the tragedy I caused was. I now live with the fact that I have taken a son, brother, uncle, and fiance from a family, and that is permanent. If you think driving drunk is impressing anyone or gaining status, it's not. It only took 4 years for my life to spiral out of control and land me in prison. It was only 10 years ago that I sat in my high school's Every 15 Minutes program. And I never thought sitting in the bleachers that this is where I would be today. If you ever feel like you are deviating away from the person you really are to make other people happy, stop yourself then and there. Don't make the same mistakes I did.
.8 second decision changes lives. what will you do? Will you be before the judge, being sentenced? Will you be the inmate? Or worse, what if you were involved in a horrific DUI-related traffic collision and you lived? What would life be like? Would you still go to work? What would holidays look like? Here to tell his story and his experiences with DUI is my friend, Manuel Russ.
Good morning, everyone. At this time, I'd like to, for everybody, give another round of applause to the last speaker that came up here. Now, you gotta, please work with me as now my jaw sits a little sideways, so a lot of words I can't pronounce. But with that said, can I please have everybody here in attendance to please close your eyes? Now I want you to focus and picture and imagine your everyday morning routine. What is it that you do every day in the morning before, or every day in the morning when you wake up? For you parents out there, do you get up, have a cup of coffee, get ready for work, drop off your kids? For all you students in here, do you wake up, jump on your phone, check your social medias? What is it every morning that you do? Now, before you leave your house, before you leave your loved ones, whoever it is that you live with, did you give them a hug? Did you tell them that you love them? Do you remember what they were wearing? Do you remember their smile? Can you see it? Now imagine waking up from a coma, looking into exactly what you're looking into right now, pitch and total dark. Listening to your family members crying. Listening to your doctor tell one of your family members that to pull the plug because you're not going to live. Now at this time, can I get everybody please open your eyes? You see, this reenactment you've seen here today is my family's reality. I'm a living testimony and literally a walking miracle. So with that said, let me take you back to my morning routine. The morning that I actually died 3 times, yet the morning that I hold closest to my heart. You understand here in a minute. Now you see, every morning when I used to wake up before I went to work, I used to wake up like 10 or 20 minutes early before my alarm went off. And this particular morning, which was September 18, 2018, I woke up about 10 minutes before my alarm went off. My daughter used to sneak in my room every night, knowing that I would wake her up and tell her to sleep on my side of the bed. So I got ready, I woke up my daughter, and her smile used to always start with her eyes. Her eyes would glow, her smile would be from ear to ear. And she woke up, she smiled at me, I told her, baby girl, why don't you sleep on my side of the bed? She said, okay, Daddy, I love you. And I told her, I love you too, baby. And I remind you, that was the last time I ever got to see my daughter. So I went on my wife's side of the bed, and I woke her up, and I told her, babe, I'm headed to work. And she kind of woke up and smiled and said, okay, baby, I love you. And I told her, I love you too, babe. Then she said, be safe. And I told her, always. That was the last time I got to see my beautiful wife's face and her smile. She was the last time I got to see anybody. As through this incident, it left me completely blind. Now I walked down the hallway, I grabbed my lunch and started my coffee maker. As I walked to my pickup truck, put everything in my pickup truck, I started it up to warm up, went back in the house, grabbed my coffee, locked up the house. Now, as I was headed to work, the road to work for me, as I used to be a truck driver, was a back road. But that back road was my main way to work. I remember seeing this car. It reminded you, it was on a Tuesday morning, about 4:50 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. Well, I remember seeing this car swerving to my lane. And I thought, they corrected themselves real fast, so I thought maybe they dropped their coffee or something, as I've done, that early in the morning. Well, as we got closer, they swerved in my lane again. And I remember trying to miss the car as my action wasn't fast enough because it was estimated a head-on collision at 90 miles an hour. And I remember thinking to myself after we got in the head-on collision, I ended up in the orchards. And I remember thinking, okay, I got to save the other people's life that's in the other car. I was in a bad accident. Then I was thinking, man, maybe what if they had babies in the car? I got to get out. I got to go save the babies, as I got 9 kids myself. Well, my son used to go with me since I was a truck driver every once in a while. And I remember flipping out because I couldn't see my son. Well, from there, now, every time I hear sirens, I get flashbacks of this morning. But I remember being in the ambulance, hearing my wife's voice telling me, babe, you're going to be okay. Let them do your job. Relax. Well, I remember waking up from the coma, and I couldn't talk because I had a trach down my throat. I couldn't see nothing. All I could see is pitch black as I do now. And I remember hearing my kids crying. I remember hearing my wife crying. And I remember hearing this voice telling my wife, as it was the doctor, it's time to pull the plug. He's not going to live. I remind you, the main California Highway Patrol officer that was on scene got the report back from the hospital saying that the patient's not going to live. Well, I remember I couldn't talk, I couldn't see nothing, and my body felt paralyzed. And I fought my body, and I sat up. As I sat up, as the doctor was telling my wife to pull the plug that I wasn't going to live, I heard the nurse and the doctor and everybody kind of flip out a little bit, saying, lay him back down. Well, they laid me back down, and I couldn't tell if it was 2 minutes or 2 hours later. Come to find out, it was 2 days later. I remember waking up to pretty much the same scenario. I was listening to my kids crying. I was listening to my wife crying. I was listening to the same voice, the same doctor telling my wife, it's time you prepare yourself and prepare the kids, because there's about a 90 to 98% chance that he's not going to have no memory. He's not going to remember you, let alone his own kids. And as he was telling my wife this, I remember getting upset, thinking, why is he lying to my wife? I remember everything. Well, the reason why he was saying this, because I endured a lot of brain damage. I had a brain bleed in the part of my brain that was non-surgical. Well, before I go further, let me go back a little bit. My wife had the two sheriffs go to the door and ask her if she knew who I was. And she said, yeah, that's my husband. And they told her, you know, you need to get to the hospital right away because your husband was in a bad accident. So as my wife got to the hospital, and, you know, she had just dropped off my kids at school. And so as all my kids got there, and it took 32 pints of blood just to stabilize me for surgery. A total of 52 pints of blood to save me. Well, before they took me to emergency surgery, my two oldest kids and my wife got to go see me as they had me covered up with a sheet, covering up my bones that were sticking out of my shoulder, my forearm, my leg, and my left foot was degloved. As the way they described me was they couldn't recognize me as my eyes were sticking out of my head like golf balls. I was so swollen. I had blood coming out of my eyes, my ears, my nose, my mouth. Now, it took fire department 45 minutes with the jaws of life to get me out of my pickup truck. As they described to me later on, as I was speaking to one of them, that if I didn't have my seatbelt on, my upper part of my body would have flew out the window, as the bottom half would have stayed stuck underneath my engine. I wanted to live. Now, going back to when I woke up from my coma, my wife never lost faith in me. I guess they were telling her during the whole time I was in a coma that I wasn't going to live. And she never lost faith in me. Which now I'm turning my negative into everybody's positive. But they had to reconstruct my whole face and my whole left side of my body, as they couldn't save my left foot. So now, as I sit here, my whole face, and my whole left side of my body is full of hardware and one of the words I can't pronounce, but pretty much my face, my whole left side of my body is full of hardware and dead people's bones. But being the fact when I first came out of a coma, you know, the first things that just ran through me is that, you know, I got to get my story out there. I got to help save lives. I got to turn my negative into other people's positive. And the reason why I call it an incident, not an accident, because it could have been prevented. But one person's selfish act, without a care in the world for somebody else's life or somebody else's safety, as they put it, the 1.8 second decision, I want to be here today. I want to be here giving you guys my testimony. But I'm grateful that I am being here today. I'm grateful that I can give you guys my testimony. And I'm grateful for everybody that's here listening to my testimony. You know, I wake up every morning grateful. And when I go to bed every night, I'm grateful. As I want to be here if I wasn't blessed. So one thing I do stress a lot is make sure you tell your loved ones you love them before you leave your house. Because I can't see my kids. I can't see my wife. I got 3 grandkids that I'll never see again, and I have no clue what they look like. One of my daughters that's here right now, she's 18 years old. Last time I got to see her, she was only 14. But I'm grateful to be able to hear her voice every morning. So at this time, I'd like to say thank you to Manteca Unified School District for having me here. I'd like to thank all of you guys for listening to my story. I'd like to thank everybody that was involved in this program. I'd like to give a special thank you to California Highway Patrol Officer, my friend, Reuben Jones.
.8-second decision changed the life of Manuel and his family forever. The life they knew is gone forever. I am thankful that he is here and able to share with us. .8-second decision the young lady made. It changed Manuel's life forever, but thankfully, he got a chance to say goodbye to his loved ones. He got a chance to say, I love you, just before the crash happened. DUI crashes are devastating, and they're sudden, and they're completely unexpected, because that 1.8-second wrong decision is made, and someone's life is erased. And did that person get a chance to say goodbye to their loved ones? Did they get a chance to say, I love you, to their loved ones? More often than not, that's a no. And we know that this program is a reenactment, but what we did was we gave the parents of our living dead and the crash participants, and we also gave the kids an opportunity to write a letter saying goodbye, and to put whatever was in their heart on a piece of paper, as if they had passed on a gift from beyond, an opportunity to say goodbye. And so we have some of those letters, and we'll have some of the parents come up first. Julie Nobriga, can you please come forward?
Natalie, I never thought I would ever have to write this letter, ever. I don't even know what to write. You've been the best thing I've ever had in my entire life. You made me a mom. You made me learn unconditional love. I can't ever imagine my life without my Natalie Chrishell. I am sitting here in utter shock because I don't know how to process this. I don't want to process this. I don't know how your brother and I are going to do this without you. I will never hear you say, hi, Mama. I will never tell you to clean your room or ask how many water bottles are on your floor in your room. You changed my life instantly when I found out I was pregnant with you. And you changed my life instantly when I lost you. I don't know what to do. I'm so proud to be your mom. You are so smart, kind, and empathetic. You are the one person that everyone loves when they meet you. But I guess God wanted you back home with him. But I want you home with me. All I have are the memories, and the memories are making this very hard because you were so amazing. Your smile, your wild red hair, your beautiful eyes, and your amazing laugh. I just want you home with me. But I need to be strong for your brother, but I don't know if I am. I need your spirit to be with me always. Please always be around your brother and I. I don't want to say goodbye. I love you so much. And this isn't goodbye because I could never tell you goodbye. Mommy loves you.
Up next, Chris Iorio.
Dear Emma, my sweetest little girl, why didn't I grab you and make you give me one more hug? Or take time just to sit with you and chat with you about your dreams and hopes for life? I got caught up in this world that I didn't take advantage of the most precious thing we have, time. Time with you. Now I'll never get that back, and I'm left empty. Empty of the promise that I will always protect you and watch over you. The promise that I will save you from danger and be your hero. I'm left with the fact that all there is for me, sadness, lonely, anger, frustration, and most of all, regret. Regret that I will never hold you in my arms and see that smile that has gotten me through so many of my roughest times. Regret I do not get to see you become a woman, the great woman you are destined for. I'll never get to walk you down the aisle and let the man you marry know I'm coming for him if he doesn't treat you right. One of my jobs as a father was to keep you safe, and I failed somehow. God knows I was never perfect, but I did one thing perfect, and that was loving you. So for now, I will have to love you from afar until we meet again. I guess you really are my angel now. How do I carry on, Dad?
And now the students got the same opportunity. And the letters started. Every 15 minutes, someone in the United States is seriously injured or killed in an alcohol-related incident. Today I died. I never got the chance to tell you. And that's where their letters begin. To share her letter, share his letter, Luke Weaver.
Dear Mom and Dad, every 15 minutes someone is killed or seriously injured in an alcohol-related traffic incident. Today, I died, and I never got the chance to tell you how extremely thankful I am for you. You guys have completely shaped me into the person I am today. You have given me a foundation to be a great person, son, sibling, teammate, friend, boyfriend, and especially a man of faith. Thank you for always pushing me to be my absolute best, whether it be involving daily interactions or in the sports fields. I could not have asked for better supporters in my life. I know that no matter what was going on, you two would be in my corner ready to help me. Dad, you taught me how to be a man of Christ in the world and how to get things done the right way. I learned something from you every day, whether it was a life lesson or explaining one of your go-to movies that we've seen 1,000 times. You also taught me to always chase your dreams and the rest will come with it. I'm forever thankful for you. Mom, you have shown me how to care for others and what it is like to be selfless in a world full of selfishness. There was never a time you did not take the opportunity to help someone, especially myself. Some of the best memories of my life were tagging along in Rayleigh's as a little kid and always getting a chocolate bar. I truly cherish every moment I spent with the both of you, and no one paper can let me fully explain how thankful I am for you. I love both of you so much, and I'm thankful to have the best parents ever. Love, your son.
Last but certainly not least, Layla Schluer.
All right, bear with me. Alrighty. Sorry. Dear Mom and Dad, every 15 minutes someone is killed or seriously injured in an alcohol-related incident. Today I died, and I never got to say and express how much I love you both and appreciate you. Today's the day we get to dig a little deeper. I simply would not be where I am today and not have accomplished what I have without the support of you guys. I am blessed God has been able to give me the best two parents a child could receive with constant support and love. I have been able to have the last 17 years of my life. From the days you guys helped me strive through my reading proficiency in first grade, and the times my dad would be able to hand me so many awards throughout high school. I leave my parents behind when I'm leaving my parents behind as they have created a very strong individual. All the arguments that you guys deciphered through with me showed me how much you guys love me and were trying to guide me. Thank you for always teaching me right from wrong, stranger danger, how to drive, how to curl my hair, how to play every sport, and most importantly, how to love others. God gave me one life, as my mom would always taught me, and mine has come to an end. Hold on close to your loved ones as they make sure that one bad decision does not ruin your life. I am lost in words, and I'll never be able to wake up again, convince my mom to go shopping with me, and let me drive. The days are gone, and I would do anything to do it one more time. My favorite texts were when I was out with my friends, and my mom would text me and say, "Be smart, and of course, respect your body." My mom always knew what I was thinking before I even had the opportunity to say it. My dad is my best friend. Every be safe text I sent him in the morning was just asking God to bring him home as he fought for us every single day, protecting us in this city. The countless nights you would come check on me to make sure I was studying and doing okay meant more than words can explain. Ultimately, Mom and Dad, it wouldn't be possible without you guys both. God placed you both to be my parents because they knew you guys would raise such an incredible daughter who is a spitting image of both of you. I couldn't express how thankful I am for both of you. Mom and Dad, I love you so much. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet, but everyone hold on to your loved ones because you don't know if the last goodbye is 5 minutes from now or 70 years. I love you so much. I'll always be your little Leela and be the best version of myself for you. I love you all. Thank you.
Thank you all very much for the respect and attention that you gave every speaker up here. To you kids, I love you all. Your faces and smiles are burned in my memories and my hearts forever. 1.8 seconds, please. Let us change the statistics. Let us be the change. With some closing remarks and to send us home, Manteca Captain Stephen Schlur.
Well, all right. Let me gather myself here for a second. My name is Captain Stephen Schlur, and I'm the chairman for the Every 15 Minutes program for Manteca. I'm the Operations Division Commander for the Manteca Police Department, and I'm a trustee for the Manteca Unified School District Area 6. I would like to say that it's awesome we can have this program here today, and that we all could come together despite COVID-19 trying to take this away from us again another year. So our hats off to that. It's been a long time. 2019 was the last time we were able to get together. I would like to take a moment to sit in solemn silence for 3 of your classmates that died this year at the hands of a suspected DUI driver. Alea Lopez, Macy Gines, and Giselle Herrera. Thank you. I've been a part of this program here for about 20 years plus. And as you can see, it's going to be a little bit more special for me this year. It hits home a little bit harder. Daughter Leela from Sierra is in the program. She just spoke. I love you. My little Leela. This is dirty, having her read this letter before I have to get up here. Angela, whoever else. Anyway. So bear with me as I try to get through this. In a few minutes, the 2022 Every 15 Minutes program will be over forever. But it's only over in the sense that this event has come to a conclusion. It's our goal that it will continue with you for years to come as a student body. This program couldn't be done without the assistance of the Manteca Police Department, Manteca Fire Department, Manteca District Ambulance, Manteca Unified School District, California Highway Patrol, California Office of Traffic Safety, St. Joseph's Hospital Training Center, San Joaquin County Sheriff's Department, P.L. Fry and Son, and many more. But most of all, this program couldn't be done without you, the student body, and without you, the living dead. Now, I know most of you have a best friend, right? How many of you have a best friend? Raise your hand. Don't be shy. This is the time you get to interact a little bit. You have a best friend, all right? Because I saw you when you came in, and you're like, hey, I'm over here. Hey, come sit next to me, right? You guys are sitting next to your friends. Everyone's sitting next to their friends. Well, how many of you want to see your friends die? That's a good question, right? How many of you want to see your friend die? Hopefully none of you. And you know what the best part of that is? Is that you can prevent it. You have the power to intervene when your friend decides to drink and drive. You have the power to take those keys from your friends when they decide to drink and drive. Look at your friends right now. Turn around and look at your friends. And tell them, I love you. I'm not going to let you die. Tell your friend you love them and you're not going to let them die. Because that's a decision you can make. You can intervene. We've talked about a lot of things over the past day or so, and to say the least, it's been an emotional roller coaster, especially for these behind me. There's been peaks, there's been valleys. And after all said and done today, you'll have to make a decision. You're going to have to make the right decision. And hopefully you will. But how do you know if you're going to make that right decision? It's because you have to make a plan. You have to make a plan what you're going to do in that 11th hour. When that 11th hour comes and a decision has to be made, you need to make a plan. Remember, if you fail to plan, you will plan to fail. And if you fail because you did not make a plan and could have done something to prevent a tragedy from happening, you might not be criminally liable, but you'll have to live with yourself for the rest of your life. Can you do that? I have a poem here for you. It's called "A Man in the Glass." What I want you to do is just close your eyes and listen to this. When you get what you want in the struggle for self and the world makes you king for a day, just go to the mirror and look at yourself and see what that man has to say. Although there are others in life's pathway whose judgment upon you must pass, the fellows whose verdict counts most in your life is a man staring back from the glass. You may win all the medals and snow all the rest and think you're a wonderful guy, but the man in the glass says you're only a fraud if you can't look him straight in the eye. He's the one you please after all's said and done, for he's with you all the way up to the end. And you've passed the most dangerous, most difficult test if the man in the glass is your friend. You may fool the whole world down pathways of years and get pats on the back as you pass, but your final reward will be heartaches and tears if you've cheated the man in the glass. Class of 22, are you going to cheat the man in the glass? Can you look back? Can you look at the glass? Can you look at that mirror and know that you're making the right decisions, that you're doing what is right? Remember, I love you. Please make a plan and don't become a statistic. A quote from a man named Gordon Graham. He says, if it's predictable, it's preventable. If it's predictable, it's preventable. Say it with me. If it's predictable, then it's preventable. If you drive under the influence of alcohol or drugs, it's predictable that you may crash your car into someone else. It's predictable that you'll probably kill somebody else if you crash your car into somebody else or yourself. If it's predictable, it's preventable. Make a plan. To the class of 22, I wish you a safe and sober graduation and have fun with the rest of your life. Thank you.